Okay, so we'll now take a look at some constructions. These should be fairly simple, but again, a lot of teachers in courses end up skipping these because we only can teach so many things. So since this one starts from the very beginning, we're going to see a lot of constructions this year. I wanted to go ahead and make sure we started on a good note. So I'm not doing anything particularly formal on this one. I just basically wrote this thing up real quick. So what I wanted to talk about really quick is how to copy, say, segment AB. Now, when we say that in our textbook, I don't literally want you to take and mark it in the textbook. Just kind of visually make one that looks similar to what they did and then copy the one that you made. It doesn't have to be the exact one from the book. You just need to know the technique on how to do that. So remember, a segment is a portion of a line. So the first thing we want to do is start by drawing actually a ray. So make sure that your ray is a little extra long. It's okay if it's just a little bit or a lot too long. It doesn't matter, just some kind of a ray. And so if I'm going to copy AB, then this first value is going to be A, and therefore I'm going to take my compass right here, and I'm going to put the pointy end right here on A, and I'm going to open my compass until it matches the length of B. Now, remember, we talked about this in class. Don't ever hold it on both sides, because if you hold it on both sides, you're likely to accidentally open it or maybe close it a little bit and change that value. And I want to ensure that as I move this around, I retain that value that it had. So I like to hold it either right here or possibly up here at the top. But if we hold it over here with one hand, so we don't accidentally add it, then all I have to do is make an arc. And again, please draw the arc so that I can see that portion of the circle that goes with that distance. And we have now copied AB. Not a very difficult construction. So what if I said I wanted to make a new segment and I wanted to call it, let's make let's make AF equal to, let's say AB plus CD. So we're going to go ahead now and try to do that little addition thing that we did before. And so again, this is going to get longer because I'm starting with AB and I'm adding to that value. So we always start with array, and it says I want A, and I want to find out where that point F is, so that A all the way to F would be the same as those two added together. Now, in this case, I've already done AB, so I don't need to remeasure that. I already have it. So this distance would be the length of AB. But when I add, I want to make something a little bit longer. So now I'm going to add the value CD. And again, since I am getting longer, it would be right here. This would be CD. So this distance is AB, this distance is CD, but I said I wanted to make the whole thing and I wouldn't call it AF, okay? And that's literally all we have to do. Now, if I wanted to, I could do some other things. Like, for example, I could say, let's make AE the same as AB minus CD. Now, this was actually not in your textbook, but I think it's an important thing to understand that we can do a variety of things. So we're going to start with AB again. So I'm going to take my compass up here to the top. I think it might be off screen, but I'm going to measure AB. So I've got that. Now, of course, keep in mind that if I'm subtracting, then that segment is going to get shorter. So if I come up here and I measure CD, if I went further to the right, that would make my segment longer, but this is telling me to take it away. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back the other direction. And so this would be AB, and I made AB shorter by exactly the distance CD. And so I would call this point right here E. And so we could either add by going further to the right or subtract by going to the left. I could, in fact, do one other thing, and I could maybe make it AF is AB plus 2 CDs, and then all I would have to do to make that happen is measure CD and go like this, and this would be 1 AB plus 1 and a second CD, and therefore F might be out here, if maybe that's the question that I have. So there's a variety of ways that we can do that. Now, the last piece was just how do you go ahead and bisect? How do you find that midpoint of a section using the tool? So if you have a segment, sometimes they ask you to copy the segment first. In this case, I'm not going to take the time because we just talked about them. But suppose we had XY right here, and I wanted to find the midpoint of that segment XY. Your textbook tells you to go to 2/3 the length of XY. That's just a nice rule of thumb. The deal is you have to be more than half. It could be a lot more than half or a little more than half. I usually like to just make sure that it's a little more than half. So 2/3 is a good rule, but honestly, it doesn't have to be perfect. And I make a generous arc. Now keep in mind, it needs to be a generous arc. These things have to cross. And if they don't cross, it's because your arc was too small. So I made an arc from the left side, which is X. I'm going to make an arc from the right side, which is Y. And I create what I usually in class refer to as the fish. And if I were to connect these two values together, I can either draw the whole line or maybe just a portion of the line, but that value M right there will be the exact midpoint of that segment. So remember, you just fairly make the same arc from both sides. So remember, when I opened it up from X and I drew an arc, I utilized exactly that same measurement from Y. So I never changed that distance, because if you change your distance, you will no longer have that midpoint. So hopefully that's helpful, and I will see you back. Bye-bye.